loves, it's me, Love Jones. I am back with another one. Hanging out per usual. First card I pulled out says discipline. Remain disciplined. Looks like this one's going to be regarding the relationships that we have with ourselves, the relationships we have with other people, the relationships we have in God. There's a lot of weird stuff going on around here, y'all. A lot of nonsense going on. A lot of people who appear to be one thing, but if you don't know, if you can't read through it, you will fall into the trap that they want you to fall into, believing they are somebody who they aren't. I've watched this so many times. I've had one of the videos I was just scrolling past was talking about discernment. I feel like that's important. When you're dealing with people like this, you have to be able to discern the truth, who they really are underneath that veil that they walk around with. It's like they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes. And they may very well be able to pull the wool over your two eyes. But your third eye, if you use your discernment, they can't pull the wool over that third eye. You're going to always see them for who they are. Some people we have relationships with and we want to hold on to them. As an example, family. Sometimes it can be your own family, sisters, brothers, children. It can be your own children who you have to use that discernment with. Y'all know we don't want to cut off people like that when it comes to our family because we feel like that's the closest thing to us. It's family over everything, right? Because blood is thicker than water, right? The blood that was shed is thicker than water. The blood that we share is not all the time. It's not all the time. So yeah, we don't want to cut off those people we feel like are the closest to us. Even if we go so far as to cut off sisters and brothers and cousins, nieces and nephews we see doing certain things, being certain ways, creating this false identity around themselves and even around you by telling lies, by manipulating the truth, telling stories. Sometimes we'll let them go. And it'll end up being your child, your own child. And we think twice, we think 3 times, 4 and 5 times because we don't want to see them as being that because that's your seed. That's something came from you. It's something you raised. It's something you taught better than that. But we have to realize once they get to a certain age, they go their own ways, and sometimes they can be led astray by the forces of the world. And so I feel like even if you don't have any children, again, like whatever, your sisters, brothers, your parents, we have to use discernment with the relationships that we have. And in some cases, like I said, blood is not thicker than water. What does the saying go? You can meet someone tomorrow that has greater and better intentions for you than people who you've known your whole life. And so don't think just because someone has been your friend, or that's your cousin, or that's your sister or your brother or your auntie or your parents or your children, that they're going to necessarily have your side, that they want to see the best in you. Because these could be the very people who are in the background waiting to destroy you, trying to destroy you, trying to put out your light, trying to steal your essence, trying to fit themselves in your space and move you out of it. Reverse all spell work. That could be what's going on here. I was just reading something. I was just listening to something. I was just listening to something on TikTok, and it was saying when people call you witches, they'll call you a witch because you're doing some things that may be unheard of. You're doing some things that maybe others won't do. While the real witches and warlocks are out here getting away with doing things. They try to steal the you from you, to try to destroy you and all the things around you that you've created. But when you do things to protect yourself, they want people to see you as the witch, because you might use crystals for protection. You might burn sage around your house or in your vehicle or in your dwelling, wherever that may be. And the girl was just saying use King James Version of the Bible, and it says something about witchcraft. But I have here, y'all know I have all different kind of Bibles, but I've been specifically because I can't have everything with me at one time. I've kept this one, which just so happens to be a Jehovah's Witness Bible. But it's so funny. I was driving a guy the other day. He got in my car, and that's the first thing he noticed. And he was like, "Oh, are you a Jehovah's Witness?" I was like, "No." And he said it because he seen the Bible. And I was just explaining to him that they all pretty much say the same thing. Maybe slightly different wording, but they all say the same thing. And so that's why I don't have a problem not being a Jehovah's Witness and still read the word from this particular Bible. It's like you say tomato, I say tomato. But we both know we talking about the same thing. And he kind of agreed with that. So anyway, I said that to say I've been walking around with this, or driving around with this Jehovah's Witness Bible, and what I was reading, evidently the girl took from King James Version of the Bible. And again, I found it in here, and it read something slightly different, but it's regarding witchcraft. It's regarding spell work. So you may have someone in your close vicinity, someone who's always around you, someone who you may deem as being close to you. Could be a family, could be friend. These people, or this person, is doing witchcraft, is doing spell work around you and trying to manipulate things around you. This Bible says, "I will put an end to sorcery practice, and no one practicing magic will remain among you. I will destroy your graven images and your pillars from your midst, and you will no longer bow down to the work of your hands. I will uproot your sacred poles from the midst and annihilate your cities. In anger and wrath, I will execute vengeance on the nations that have not obeyed. And so just know, those of you out there who are doing witchcraft, who are doing spell work, who are doing all these things to try to manipulate the lives of other people instead of just working on yourself, there is an appointed day and time where this is all going to backfire. So you may seem, it may feel to you like you're getting away with it right now. And you may be reaping some of the rewards. You say the devil rewards his people too. So you may be reaping some of the rewards of doing the things that you're doing right now. But when it's all said and done, you're pushing yourself backwards 10 times by doing what it is that you're doing. You won't win this war. And so I would advise you, those are the ones that are going out the way to do it, I advise you to stop while you have the chance. Because when God's vengeance kick in, you won't have that chance anymore. You're still going to have to deal with the karma. Still going to have to suffer the consequences of what it is that you've done in other people's lives. And a lot of times it just comes from jealousy, from envy. And the only thing they have to do is fix themselves, but they want to fix you instead. Feel like if they can stop your life, then it will somehow enhance theirs. These are lazy people, people who don't want to do the work on themselves. And unfortunately, we live in a world who will reward those type of people. We live in a world where people will pretend to not recognize them and allow them to move up and have certain advantages and be in certain leadership positions and have certain increases in their life, knowing that they didn't actually do the work to get there. And so reverse that spell work that's been over your life. You can do that in so many different ways. One of which is just by calling on God. And it takes me to another thing I was just listening to. This girl, she seemed like she was so educated, you know. She tell you all the different things, all the different ways you can read about different stuff. She gives you all these sources that she gets her information from. She even gives you a visual of what she's talking about. And I just felt like something wasn't right to me about that. It was something that was off about it. And I remember thinking that people will use certain things to try to manipulate you. People who don't really understand. They will use certain phrases, certain language to try to manipulate things that you may not understand. And so it sounds really good, but unless you go out and you do your own research, then you'll fall for this. They say stand for something or you'll fall for anything. And so sometimes you just have to have that much faith in the God that you know and what it is you know, because people will, they will feed you all of this information knowing that it sounds good. But eventually she got right into what I felt like, wasn't right anyway, because I remember thinking, she's saying all of these things, but to the average person that doesn't know any better, they would take it as burn the Bibles because you can't get anything from it. They would take it as Jesus is no good. They would take it as, like the song goes, what if heaven was hell and vice versa? They would take it as that, which is what a lot of people want you to think. Everything is backwards. And a lot of stuff is, and they do it to manipulate you. But God is God. Jesus is Jesus. He taught love. And eventually another one of her posts, because I clicked off of it at a certain point, I stopped listening to it because I felt like it was kind of manipulative for people who don't know any better. And I'll be, if shortly, I continued to scroll, and then something else of hers came up, and that's exactly what she was getting down to. It's like, that's exactly what she was saying. Jesus is the devil. What did she say? The God of the Bible is not God. God is God. God has several different names, and it's all about what you have in your heart. She tries to make it seem as if the God that we know of is wrong, and there's another God that's right, and that the things in the Bible you should not believe. Well, the Bible is used as a tool, y'all. It's a way to live your life, to not get caught up in the ways of the world, to not go down that evil path. It's not telling you to do wrong. It's like a guide. And so know that those people who would tell you to not pay attention to this, but pay attention to all the other books. Educate yourself. Read all the other books, but don't read this. It's something wrong with that. It's something wrong with them. And so it just goes back to the beginning, what I was talking about. Use your own discernment. Remain disciplined with your relationships. Choose them wisely. Even if it is family and friends, you know the ones that you need to keep at a distance. Don't let what it is your intuition be misguided or manipulated by those around you. So I've only pulled 3 cards, and then we're already at 20 minutes. And so I'm gonna go ahead and end this. Yeah, I'll just show you exactly what it is that I was reading. And so maybe you can go in and read it yourself. It kind of help ward off some of this spell work, this black magic, this manipulation that people want to pretend like it is not there, because we know it is. And that's a way of tricking you even further, for you to not believe that it's something that exists, because that's exactly what a lot of people are going to use on you. And so if you're not a believer of it, then you won't be able to recognize it. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. 2020 on the clock. I'll be back, y'all.